In 2008, when Barack Obama was running for president, a reporter asked him about something called the Dasht-i-Leili Massacre. This took place on December the 1st, 2001, in Mazar-e-Sharif, northern Afghanistan. So on November 30th and December 1st, 2001, 2,000 Taliban soldiers just gave up en masse. They just gave up to the Northern Alliance under General Abdul Rashid Dostum. Dostum is a monster. He continues to be a monster.
Is he still alive today?
Oh, yeah. And now he's allied with the Taliban. He was allied with the Soviets, and then with the Taliban, and then with the Northern Alliance, and then with the Americans, and then with the Taliban again. He's a political whore.
I see.
And so he's also a murderous son of a gun. So Dostum called American forces and said, we have 2,000 prisoners. We can't hold them. What should we do with them? And the CIA told Dostum to put them on trucks, take them out to the desert, and hold them there until we could divide them up into smaller groups and then send them to prisons around the country. Because there's no prison in all of Afghanistan in 2001 that's big enough to hold 2,000 people overnight. Maybe you send some to Pakistan, whatever. So they called it the box up. They put all 2,000 men, they crammed them into containers that were on the back of trucks. There was no food. There was no water. And most importantly, there was no air. And when the prisoners started beating on the inside of the containers that they couldn't breathe, Dostum's forces just shot the trucks and said, now you have air holes. Killed an untold number. They trucked them out to the desert. It took about a day. And according to one of the 14 survivors,
out of 2,000.
When they opened the containers, the bodies fell out like sardines from a can.
Wow.
So Obama said, when he was candidate Obama, we need to investigate this and get to the bottom. Was the U.S. involved? Or was this just an unfortunate incident in the fog of war and blah, blah, blah? And then as soon as he gets elected, he's like, yeah, we don't need to investigate that. No. We're not gonna talk about that anymore. So I'm on the job at the Senate Foreign Relations Committee for a couple of months, and I get a call from a very prominent, very important human rights activist who knows about these things. Not just some nut, from the street. This is like a serious guy.
Are you able to name the activist?
He asked me not to expose him. But he calls me and he says, I have some new information, very important information that you're going to need to hear, but I think we shouldn't meet in public. I said, okay, where do you want to meet? He said, there's an empty classroom at Johns Hopkins University. Let's meet there at 2 o'clock. I said, great. I go over to Johns Hopkins. The lights are off and everything. I get into the building, go to the classroom, and he's there. He's waiting for me. And he said, I know that you know all about Dasht-i-Leili. And I said, I do. I've written about it. And he said, I have a new witness who's just come forward. He's 20 years old, which means he was 12 when Dasht-i-Leili took place. He said that he was hiding behind a rock when they opened the trucks and the bodies all fell out.
Wow.
And I said, okay, so what's the new information? He said, the new information is that there were 2 men standing there wearing blue jeans and black T-shirts and speaking English.
CIA.
Who else, and this is what I said to him, well, who else could possibly be in the middle of the Afghan desert on December the 1st or 2nd, 2001, wearing black T-shirts and jeans and speaking English? So I said, I'm going to write to the CIA and I'm going to put them on the spot. So I get back to the office. I write a letter to the CIA asking for clarification. We've developed this new information. We want to know what the truth is. Was the CIA on site when
This happened.
the trucks were opened? So I gave it to Kerry. Kerry signed it, sent it to the CIA. 6 weeks pass. And a colleague of mine happened to come into my office, and he said, "Oh, hey, the agency responded to your letter." I said, "I just checked my mail an hour ago. I didn't see any letter from the agency." He said, "Oh, they classified it as top secret. It's downstairs in the vault." At the time, I only had a secret clearance. And the letter that I sent to them was unclassified. I said, "Well, what's it say?" And he says, "It says, go f*** yourself." And I said, "Okay, that's how they want to play it. All right, that's fine." So I go over to Kerry's office, and I said, "Look, this is a cover-up. I'm 100% sure the CIA was involved in the Dasht-i-Leili Massacre, and now they won't answer your questions." I said, "You signed that letter. My name wasn't on that letter." And he said, "Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I think we should probably just drop this."
Typical politician.
Typical John Kerry, because he never, ever, ever wanted to do anything that could possibly jeopardize his chances of becoming Secretary of State. It's all he cared about. It's what he lived for.
Really?
Yeah. So, it's funny, going back a few months to January of 2009, he called me out of the blue, and he said, "I'm going to be the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and I'm going to reinstitute the committee's investigative function." They stopped investigations in 1972. He said, "With your reputation as a whistleblower, I want you to come here and head investigations, and I want you to go hard." And I said, "Great, I'm your guy." So we shook hands. I started working 2 weeks later. And every time I got close to something, he'd say, "Yeah, you're gonna kill this investigation.